Moin! What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It is Mace, your host for today's programming, and we're looking at how are German kids different than American kids? Are parents different? Question mark. Let's do it, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day. It is the best host on the West Coast. I'm coming to you from Vancouver Island in British Columbia. Love reading comments about people that have been here on this side of the world and explored around and explored our beautiful wilderness and lakes and forests and all of the good stuff that we offer. Anyways, let's get to this and see the difference. I'm interested because getting around to be that age where we're thinking about children, right? So it's, or at least we get asked questions about it. Hey, work colleagues. So, when are you guys having kids?
Hi everyone, what is up? My name is Haley. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you did not know, now you do. Hey you guys, what's up? So in today's video, y'all, I'm going to be talking about how kids are different in Germany and how parenting is different in Germany. I feel like these are two different topics, but they sort of like mesh together. And yeah, these are just things that I have observed. I'm not a parent. I don't have kids, so I don't have like personal experience, but I have personal observation experience because I have worked in kindergartens. I've been around a lot of children and a lot of different families and a lot of different parents. So with all that being said, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. The lady that I worked for, she said, "Hey Haley, I'm going to get coffee with my friend."
So, I was sort of surprised starting the video off. I was like, oh, she's obviously a mother, but it doesn't mean that you can't have experience with, how kids are being raised and things like that. I've also worked with youth in the past, and it's always an interesting topic. What makes these outcomes happen for certain children? What leads them down certain paths? Like, is it, nature versus nurture and all of these different, things and cultural differences that we have. It's interesting stuff. Let's continue here.
Would you like to come with? And her friend just had a baby and she showed up with her little stroller with her little baby sleeping in the stroller. And I was like, oh, how cute. No, it's so cute that you're bringing the baby to the cafe to get some coffee and kuchen. And the baby was knocked out, you guys. This baby was in La La Land. And the woman, she just leaves and goes in the cafe. And I'm just like, okay, did the lady that I work for literally bring me here to watch someone else's kid? I was like, they really want me to stand out here in the cold, in the winter, next to the stroller while they go inside and drink coffee. I'm like, that's really rude. The lady knocked on the window and was like, come inside. And I was like, and she's looking at me like, what the hell am I pointing at? And I'm like doing the motion of picking up the baby and she's like, and I'm like, and she's like, no. And then she comes out and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what are you doing leaving your baby on the street? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Someone could grab this little baby. It's just laying here. Strangers walking past. This is a busy road. Someone snatch your baby up, hide your kids, hide your wife, because they're snatching every baby out here in Germany. She's like looking at the lady that I worked for, like, you brought this woman with you to this coffee shop and she's talking about my baby getting kidnapped? It happened often. I will not say all the time and that everyone did it, but it wasn't uncommon to see a random stroller with a random baby in it on the side of the sidewalk or the road somewhere.
I forgot to mention that the lady was sitting in front of the window and her baby was directly on the other side and she could see the baby clearly. Yeah, I mean, you could perceive it as strange, I guess. Depends on what culture you're from. The fact that she had eyesight on the baby makes it, of course, she can see, she can observe, and she can monitor and supervise what's going on with the baby. So it's a different story if, she left her baby out on the street and went up into a mall and up a escalator stair to a coffee shop and then could not see the child at all. That's completely different. So, and when I've worked with youth and they were at-risk youth, we'd always want to kind of, for the most part anyways, when we're out in public, you want to keep them within eyesight just because, you don't want them wandering away. But these are much older children. A baby is not going to be getting up and walking away. The fact that the mother could see it through a window. It's right there. They're just grabbing a coffee. I don't know why you can't take the kid inside the cafe, but that's the only thing I would say on it. Like, can you just roll the baby inside? So it's, and she said it's cold outside too. I don't know.
Somewhere or, in front of a store. And the reasoning behind this, she told me, I mean, this was her reason. I don't know if this is the real reason why people do it, but she said that it took her so long to wrap the baby in all of its like winter clothes. And so when the baby slept, it got fresh air. It was cool to him. Like the temperature outside was cool, but his body temperature underneath everything is relatively warm, and he sleeps the best this way. And so it's better to just leave him there than take him out, wake him up most likely, take off all of his clothes, and then have to re-put them on, redress him when they leave the cafe. And so I thought that was very interesting. This is something that happens all over Europe. I know that a lot of people, or some people, do this in the United States.
Okay, so the mother and her friend were going inside the cafe to actually sit down and have a coffee. So we're talking about 15 to 20 minutes, I would say. I guess that makes sense. It's still... It seems like kind of an anecdotal situation, something that's not going to be a general happening in Germany, but maybe it is. I don't know. It seems more anecdotal to me. How cold is it outside? Like, is this only at certain times of year?
In their, like, the privacy of their home. It doesn't necessarily happen in Florida, because if you leave your baby outside in Florida, it will die. The next point is going to be something that is a hit and a miss. I know that some people, like Germans, are going to disagree with me, but I've seen this a handful of times here. And it is that people will bring their children to bars. And I think it's because the bar culture in Germany is different, and also the alcohol culture is different here as well. And so when I compare it to the United States, where I used to work, I've worked in I think like 3 or 4 different restaurants, and all of those, I think 3 out of 4 of them, had bars, meaning you could sit at the bar and drink alcohol, or you could sit in the bar area, which wasn't directly like chairs around a bar, but there were maybe tables or booths surrounding the bar. And some restaurants that I worked at wouldn't even let people with kids sit there. There are some restaurants that I have been to in the United States that allow children to sit there, but the ones that I worked at wasn't allowed unless they were 18 or older. But if you came with your baby and you like wanted to sit at the bar or near the bar, we usually, our hostesses would have to say, sorry, we're not allowed to seat you there. And so when I came to Germany and I just saw kids, openly around alcohol in public, at restaurants, at bars, I was shocked, a little judgmental, because I'm like, what are y'all doing with your kids, like around alcohol and bringing them to the bar like this? It's totally chill in Germany and relax when it comes to kids and alcohol also.
I think because the alcohol culture here in North America is just a lot different, I would imagine. A lot of people go out and they get quite rowdy, drinking culture, to get drunk and partying and all of these things like that. It's a little bit different. It does remind me of a video I've seen on the internet of a father, and he's got his baby in one of those like front, what is it? Like a baby carriage thing, but it's like a backpack put on the front, and the baby can sit there like looking forwards, strapped to the front of the father's chest, and they're around with their friends at like a bar. And it's one of those bars that's like along the street. I don't know where it would be exactly. Maybe it's New Orleans. Maybe it's, who knows where it is. And then they're having shots, and they say cheers, and then he has the shot, and then like the drips from the liquor is like falling in the baby's face, and the baby's face is just, you can see the disappointment on that baby's face. Like, I don't know.
So because the drinking age is 16 here, depending on what you're drinking, and in the United States it's 21. And I always find this to be so crazy when I see little children, literally 16-year-olds, drinking beer, and I'm like, are y'all allowed to do that? And then in the United States, I get carded if I want to buy one little beer can at the grocery store or something, or at the gas station. And I also think that in Germany, they like to expose children at an early age to like the real world. Like, everyone, not everyone, but a big majority of people are drinking. They may not be alcoholics, but they are consuming alcohol. And you're going to come into contact with this regardless if you do drink alcohol or don't drink alcohol. And I never understand now, since living in Germany, the big hush hush regarding alcohol in the United States. It's a little weird in my opinion, because I've talked about this before. You can buy guns at 18, you can go fight in the military, give up your life.
Yeah, it reminds me when I was still writing rap songs, I had a line that said, So you can die, but you can't buy a beer for a country, something that keeps people in fear. Something like that, but that was the whole point of the song. I was like, so you can die in war, in the military, but you can't buy a beer.
But as soon as you want to buy one little beer and you're 20 years old, go to jail. The next point is going to be eating vegetables, free will, not being forced, y'all. One thing that shocked me, which is a little like going off of this point, when I came to Germany and I started
Eat your broccoli.
eating food, like not eating foods, when I started going to restaurants and stuff and like just trying out different types of restaurants and getting vegetables that were uncommon, let's say, because you go to the United States, you eat at a restaurant, you're gonna have like a vegetable medley of broccoli, squash, carrots, throw in a zucchini, asparagus is big, cauliflower is big, very basic vegetables, throwing a corn on the cob there as well. And some areas, you have more so than other, like in Florida, we have okra, but we fry it. And I feel like all of our vegetables, we fry, we deep fry. We have deep fried
make
green
the
beans,
healthy
we have
thing
deep fried cauliflower,
unhealthy.
we have deep fried corn, we have deep fried everything. So that's not really healthy. I'm talking about a raw vegetable or fruit, literally eating that by itself. And so when I came to Germany, there was this little kid that I used to watch like randomly on the weekends. His mom would want to go out and she'd be like, could you come watch my son? I'd be like, fine, no big deal. So one day she called me, hey Haley, come over. And then she's like, you know what? I have everything in the fridge. I have frozen pizza. I made like spaghetti the other day. I made all of this stuff. Just ask him what he wants to eat and then, make something. I love parents like this because I'm like, so you don't mind if I give your kid a frozen pizza, we eat ice cream, cookies, and chips, and watch a movie, and that's okay with you? So I go to the little kid all excited. I'm like, hey, your mom told me that we have frozen pizza. And he's like looking at me and he's like, yeah, I think I want like a Butterbrot, a butter bread with radishes. And I looked and I was like, excuse me? Your mom said you have frozen pizza and cookies. He's like, no, maybe some cucumbers too. And I'm like, sir, we have everything available here. I can literally call McDonald's and have them delivered, call Burger King and they can deliver a Whopper and fried onion rings to our doorstep right now. This little boy would not budge, you guys. So what did I do? I went to the kitchen and I cut up some radishes and I put it on some Butterbrot. And so the next point is going to be outside activities, and I don't really know how to go over this properly, but in Germany, when you do an activity for, let's say, daycare or school, a lot of times it is outsourced to a different location. And I don't know the reason why. I'm assuming it's because of how small Germany is, so their schools aren't as massive and as huge as like stuff in the United States, so they don't have the ability to offer everything in-house. I used to work at a kindergarten, a daycare that was only 3 rooms. That was it. And there were like a lot of kids, and everything that we did, we usually had to go outside somewhere else to do. We didn't have a pool, we didn't have a playground, we didn't have anything at the daycare except for like books and toys and a little mini kit.
Yeah, activities for kids can be hard when you start running out of activities to do, and depending on what activities they like. Usually you just got to push them a little bit, stay persistent, and once they do it, they'll like it. I'm just speaking anecdotally from work I've done in the past with youth, and usually if they know what they're going to be doing beforehand, they don't want to be surprised with something or feel like they're winging it at the last second.
Kitchen to make stuff in. That was it. And I also worked at daycares in Germany that offered everything available to mankind. 3-story, 4-story buildings. They have a whole bunch of kids. They have their own playground. But still, even then, you had to go somewhere else to do other things, or they would tell someone else to come. They would outsource it in the sense that they would hire someone to come and do, let's say, yoga, instruments. I don't know what else there is that people outsourced or got people to come in to do. And it's not random to see groups of children just walking in the woods, walking on the side of the street, taking public transportation, just out and about in the real world, which is something that is not common in the United States at all, unless you're going on a field trip. But it's like not where you would say every day we're going to go outside of our daycare, or every day we're taking a trip 1 mile away or walking 1 mile down the street to go do something. That's just something that does not happen in the United States. The last and final point, you guys, is going to be a big point, and this is going to be something that, I do this to myself, you guys, when I talk about these topics. But in Germany, the kids learn about their history, an in-depth history, a gruesome history, a dark history.
They're going to be talking about like learning about World War II and the Nazis and etc.
Something that I've never experienced in the United States. And so I remember when I first got here to Munich, I took a trip by myself to Dachau.
So I don't know if the United States is improving on this measure or aspect about historical learning. I know Canada's striving and making steps, but even when I was in elementary school, we did learn about indigenous populations and the First Nations peoples, and how they were, decimated, and all of the disease the Europeans brought and all the changes that the Europeans brought. And also we had a thing such as the residential school system, which was absolutely devastating to the First Nation populations. Tried to destroy their culture, was referred to as by the Canadian government or Canadian government officials as the Indian problem. And they had all of these measures and acts, the Indian Act and different things like that, to culturally try to destroy their culture, and then in turn brainwash them into Canadian culture, right?
Don't know why, you guys. I just wanted to go to a concentration camp because I was like, I'm in Germany. This is like what I've been taught in school. I'm literally a train ride away, less than an hour away. Let me just go one day. And so I went by myself to Dachau. And to my surprise, I saw multiple groups, like school groups of kids aged, I would say maybe 14 to 16, 17, give or take. I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, are we just gonna allow kids to walk through concentration camps like this? Like,
Why not?
is this normal? I don't know. This is not normal in the United States. We don't walk through plantation homes. In Florida, especially where I lived, we had plantation homes, we had plantations, we had sugarcane fields that were operated by slaves. We never, ever took a trip there. Never once in my life did I even know until I think high school or college did I find out that we had all of these places so close to where I went to school. And I think this is an amazing thing that Germany does. I think that this should happen in the United States as well. I know in some places they do put more emphasis on our history and the dark parts of our history, but in modern day, the United States right now, we're trying to get rid, or sugarcoat the things and make it seem like everything was rainbows and sunshine and everyone got along and there were no slaves. They were people that made a minimum wage, and we try to cover things up instead of actually saying, yeah, we effed up, we did this, we did that, it wasn't good, we killed a bunch of people, we harmed a bunch of people, we created a lot of problems, by doing this, and here it is. But we don't do that. And so when I think back of my upbringing and my education, and I know that
Obviously, there's a lot of hot button issues, she's bringing up, especially around the United States, with restitution or reparations and things like that. And it kind of spikes in political topic popularity, and then it goes down, usually around election season, things like that. Like, USA has a huge... They just have never been able to reckon with it properly, I guess. I don't know how they can reconcile. Yeah. In Canada, it was only recently we had the Truth and Reconciliation process, which is where the government acknowledged the atrocities and things that happened in the past, right?
There are going to be a lot of Americans that say, well, that's just you and that's not representative of the United States and that's not my upbringing. Perfectly fine. Make your own video talking about your upbringing. But for me, I knew more, or I was like told more about Nazi Germany than the history of Florida and like plantations and slavery and just everything that happened in my own state, in my own backyard, like literally a hop, skip, and a rock throw away. I learned more about something that was 5,000 plus miles away than learning something that was 5 miles away. Like I said, they did teach me about slavery, but if they would have made me go up, take my happy ass to a plantation home, or show me certain fields, or show me all types of other things, a museum for all I know, if they would have done this for me at a young age, it would have made such a big impact on me, and it would make me care about these issues more, or it would have made me care more about these issues growing up. But yeah, you guys, that was it. That's the end of the video. That's how I think German kids are different, or German parenting is different than American parenting and American kids. I hope you guys got a few laughs out of this video. I know some topics are more serious than others, but like I said, we're trying to, sprinkle in a little bit of lightheartedness and humor. So with all that being said, love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and bye.
I like it. I like the video. She brought up a lot of good points, and like she said, she did have some lighter topics, some more humorous topics, and then she also mentioned some darker topics. But overall, yeah, I think Americans and North Americans, there can be a lot of memes and a lot of stereotypes about helicopter parents and micromanaging. And I don't even know if it's a North American thing, to be honest. There's probably a lot of countries that have the similar types of parents. How great those numbers are, who knows? I can only speak to anecdotal experience within Canada, and there's definitely helicopter parents and parents that are hyper focused on safety and not letting their kids do things and planning things based on fear and not letting kids explore and go outside and learn things on their own. And there's a balance to everything. But yeah, interesting video. We'll see you on the next one. Tschüss.